So let me ask you about that. Are you the kind of guy that writes down your goals every day, or what's that process for you look like, or is it just yeah?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, right? I've got a I'm very visionary about where I see my future, right? So when I think, it's easier for me to think about 10 years in advance than it is to think about what I'm doing tomorrow. I have a very clear picture and vision for where I want to go. Now, is that written down? Not that particular goal, no. Am I very clear on what I need to do in the next 5 years to get me there? Yes. Now, where is that written down? In my house, I've got a wardrobe right, with mirrors on the doors. And to be quite honest, typically if I have a good idea in the middle of the night, which is often when they come up, or if I'm a big fan of taking what I know, what I've been able to learn from people, and really trying to develop that into a model that makes sense to me. Right? So, I typically what I do is I reach over and grab some lipstick out of my partner's bedside table mat, and I draw it on the mirror. And often the amount of times, honestly, that she's been like, it's the middle of the night, she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, look, just let me go." And then I find myself presenting it to her because it's helping me to clarify it in my mind. It's so I think write it down, have it somewhere, have something somewhere where it's going to remind you every day of why you're getting out of bed. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing. It could just be. It could be. So if you're trying to focus on gratefulness, like, write it on your mirror where you're going to look every day and go, right, okay, I'm going to be grateful for 10 things today. And hold yourself accountable to doing that. So, look, I'm not someone, like I said, that's going to break it down into very minuscule, minute goals, but I am very clear on where I see my next 5 or 10 years. And I have broad models in place which are going to help me to get there, which in turn kind of guide my thinking and decision making.
Yeah, perfect. That's good to hear, because some people get hung up on goal setting, and if they're not that very what's the word I'm trying to think of, analytical thinker, I suppose, where they're setting their goals every day. As long as you find a system that works for you, then that's all that matters. And most importantly, know if you want more energy in your life, or you want more money, know what the intention is behind it, and then find a system that just works for you.
Yeah, and look, I think that you can. There is a lot of research and study out there that proves that writing down goals has a massive impact, right? Because it increases your focus. But exactly to your point, I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's nothing wrong with doing something that works for you, and I think that there's so many of us that are prepared to go and take advice from someone and just do it because they said, without actually going, okay, does that work for me? You've got to set your life up and your projects up and all the things that you're focusing on in a way that's going to make a lot of sense to you.
Sure. So I know we're sort of running out of time, so I want to ask you, there's one question that I've been going through lately is a morning ritual. Do you have a morning, weekly, daily ritual you follow to any sort of structure?
Yeah. Look, I suppose you could call it a ritual. For me, I see it more as a principle, right? As I said before, that's how I tend to operate. I know that regardless of what's going on, right, whether you've got a big event to attend, whether you've got just a low key day or whatever, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I know that if I exercise first thing in the morning, I'm going to have an awesome day.
Perfect.
So that's what I do. I'll make sure every single morning I'm either at the gym, or I'm out doing hill sprints, or I'm going for a jog, or I'm doing something active to get myself out there before I do anything else. That's before breakfast, before anything.
Cool.
It just gets my mind into a place where I feel good. So in terms of morning rituals, that's what I do, and I always follow that up by eating something healthy and fresh first thing in the morning. That would be probably the extent to a morning ritual, but I do that without fail.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
The next thing, I've got 2 more questions for you. One is, if you had to define it down to one thing that you see you do differently to say people who haven't quite made it yet, what is that one thing that you feel that you do differently that you can attribute your success to?
Clarity. There's so many people. All you've got to do is go and find the first 10 people you can see, right, and ask them what they want from their life, where they're going, why they're doing what they're doing. It's not very often that you get a very clear answer on what somebody actually wants. And it's hard, right? You know, like I think we're spoiled for choice. And as I say, there is so much information. There's so many people trying to tell you, you know, how to make your first million or how to do like whatever, you know, it's all out there. You've got to try and there's a couple of things. I think hard work's very important. So I think once you know what you want, even if it's just a vague idea, you don't want to, what you don't want to be doing is changing tack every 6 months with what you're doing, right? Because you're always going to be starting at the bottom. What you need to do is you need to understand at least what the bigger picture goal is for you, right? Now that you might not know exactly what that looks like from a tangible point of view, but what type of person do you want to be in the future? That's highly important. Like what type of person do you want to be? So more than what do you want to have, who do you want to be? That's the question that you really want to ask yourself. And then what do you need to learn, right? Because I believe education changes everything, right? So what do you need to know to become that person? What are the things that you need to learn? How can you educate yourself? Now that will include who do you need to meet? You know, so who do you need in your life? Who have you got in your life at the moment who may not be helping you or who may not be a positive influence in your life that you know, you can change everything, right? You're fully responsible for everything that you do. So if you don't like your job, if you don't like your business, if you don't like where you live, if you don't like the relationship you're in, if you don't like your financial situation, you can change everything in a heartbeat, right? So I think people overestimate the worst case scenario. Know what you want, get clear on that, and start to work towards it and be prepared to have a long-term view, right? So yeah, there'll be some immediate things that you can do, but you're not going to get good at everything overnight. So if you want to be super, super fit, right? Yeah, you can go on a fad diet, you can do all that kind of stuff. But reality is if you eat well and you exercise every day and you do that for a long period of time, you're going to end up being a really fit and healthy person, right? Finance is the same. If you do little things right, for a long period of time, you will be successful. And the same thing comes with anything in your life. If you want to be good at something, be prepared to give it the time that it deserves.
Cool. Righto. Now, I know we are going over time, but I'd get in trouble if I didn't ask this question because as the investor guy, I want to know what, not for me personally, but I guess for me, I see with my clients, negative emotion gets in the way of making decisions in business and in all sorts of life. And definitely in investing. So I'd like to hear what you do to take emotion out of your decisions, whether it be investing, business, life, or what do you do?
Great question. I could talk about this for a week. For me, it's very clear. I think there's a lot of business principles that you can apply to a personal life, right? So in business, it's very important to have insight over your financials, because that is your scoreboard. That is how you know whether or not you're actually being successful achieving your objectives. You know, in your personal life, it's exactly the same thing, right? So, you know, the amount of times you see someone go, oh yeah, but I really want that house because, you know, it's got a perfect kitchen or it's, you know, it looks really nice. Well, you know, that's all great, but that's not an investment, right? If you're buying it for emotional reasons, you're not actually doing it for reasons that are going to help you build wealth. Okay, everything comes down to the maths behind it, right? I just don't, you know, you just don't buy into that stuff. So, you know, if I'm going to go and buy a house, I don't give a shit what it looks like. I don't care, you know, if the numbers stack up, if I've done the research and I understand why I'm buying it. And, you know, I saw an awesome podcast again from Buffett the other day who said, you need to be able to answer the question why, right? So if you're investing in something, ask yourself why. Right. So if you can say, I'm investing in this company or I'm investing in this property because blah, blah, blah. If you can't answer that, you probably haven't done your due diligence, right? So most people make their investment decisions on an emotional basis, hence why most people probably don't even reach their financial milestones. It's really simple. Don't let emotion play a part. If it's an investment, it's an investment. The numbers need to do the talking. So understand the numbers and the metrics that you need. Get those numbers and metrics, and it either works or it doesn't. It's black and white. There's actually no grey area involved, right? Once again, the biggest thing that if you look at some of the most financially successful people in the world, one of the biggest things they talk about is capital preservation and adequate returns, right? Which is how can you make an investment in something where you mitigate your risk as much as you can so that you're less likely to lose money before you even think about how much money you're going to make. Yeah. And, you know, I think that's a really sound piece of advice. You know, I think that a lot of the time in life, things are risky because we haven't put in the time to learn it. So most of us go, you know what, I don't like finances, so I'm going to just get my financial planner to do that for me. Now, like, do you actually even know the background of your financial planner? Who are they? Are they someone who you want to replicate or model? So I think the biggest thing there is around, let the numbers do the talking. If you don't know your numbers, whether that is business, whether that's property, whether that's shares, regardless of what you're investing in, if you don't know your numbers, don't invest in it. And don't let somebody else just tell you it's a good idea.
Cool. Well, thanks for staying a bit over time for me. That was I could just keep talking all day. That was good fun.
Mate, no worries. That was awesome. Yeah, enjoyed it, mate. And yeah, look, again, for everybody listening, hopefully that was beneficial. But the biggest thing is, as I say, there's a lot of information out there, but what makes the difference is implementation and taking action. So hopefully there's at least one thing that people can take away that can make an improvement in their own life.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Edward Wall, and I'll speak to you soon.
No worries, mate. Looking forward to it. See you soon. Bye.